taking a look at it, I think. So
Okay.
she may be fixing it, so
Okay, all right, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to let you know. Okay.
if, Elisa, is the live streaming on now? Okay, it should be on now, Leslie. If it's not, let me know.
Danny, Councilman, we're about to start.
Hang on a second.
The reason I was asking is if they were going to take a vote on the MOU, I was curious myself as a member of the church and the neighborhood involved in it.
I don't think we have to vote on it tonight. In fact, I'd rather wait till everybody has seen the document.
All right, that's all I need to know.
Yeah. The church folks are fine, though. I've talked to Mark, Gary Thomas, and
Your appointments on here? Should be. Since January.
I don't have any.
Ask about it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate y'all coming out on a not so winter afternoon. We're back into springtime here in Georgia. The Tuesday, January 10th, 2017 meeting of Mayor and Council is called to order. And we'll have if everybody will rise, we'll have our invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Marchman, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance.
Precious Father, we thank you for allowing us to come together again. Lord, we ask that you would bless this meeting and whatever's done tonight will be pleasing to you, and we will be able to do what's best for our community, not just a ward, but our whole community. We ask that you would just keep us together and help us to be one in unity, and that we will be pleasing to you. This is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on our agenda is a ceremonial presentation to recognize Corporal Tommy King for 15 years of service to the city of Villa Rica. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We started celebrating when an officer or an employee 5 years, 10 years, 15 years service, 20 years, and it's pretty big deal to stay at a place 15 years nowadays, especially with the way things are. People like to move around, and so we're thrilled that we have some that do stay a while. And we want to honor Corporal Tommy King for 15 years of service. Everybody knows Tommy. Everybody knows Tommy. People come up to me every day. How's old Tommy King doing? Tommy King still working with you? And I say, work's a strong word. Tommy's still working. But we appreciate what he does. He's definitely a steward for the city. Everybody loves him, and everybody wants to talk to him and see him and stuff. And so we appreciate what he does. So congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Is that it? Well, it's not a good one. You good? Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. We are indeed blessed in the city of Villa Rica to have a stellar police department
Congratulations.
under the direction of the best chief of police in the state of Georgia. And you can pay me after the meeting. Okay, moving right along. Adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion we adopt the agenda as read or as written?
One question. I thought this is the meeting that you appointed the committees for the council.
It can be, it doesn't have to be. Typically, it is, those appointments are made soon after the first of the year.
I just remember that in January was when it's been done in the past. I didn't, and really and truly, I didn't see it before now, or I would have mentioned it to someone.
Being sort of the new kid on the block, I guess I didn't know that, so I'll get with council and with David, city manager, and we'll make that happen at the February meeting. Okay. Any other changes in the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
Have a move and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Okay, council updates. If no one else has anything, I do have something I want to say. And we'll be working through this. We're going to have our council work session coming up here in a couple of months or earlier. But I do want to state for the record that, I want us I want us to start on time, and that includes me. I'm pointing fingers at myself. I want everybody to understand, the council and the folks out in the audience, that there's a difference in a work session and a meeting. Tonight, we're in a council meeting. Our work sessions, which happen on Thursday before the Tuesday meetings at 3 o'clock, are the times that we hash out all the items here with the council and with the employees and with the city manager. And I would like for those not to happen. I want us to discuss those things, but I don't want us to spend another 45 minutes on Tuesday night discussing the same thing that we talked about on Thursday night. So if y'all will indulge me and help me to move these meetings along, I just think that we need to make sure that we come across as being very together as a mayor and council. So, and also I would like to ask David, that we make sure that staff that have agenda items on the council agenda be here on time and be prepared to present those. I'm not passing judgment, not saying anything. That's just a general statement. And I want to give kudos to Elisa for everything was up and running again today. And I understand that our computer guru, David, helped us get our IT equipment, our information up, so thank you for that, David. And but all of those things mean something to not only the people in this crowd, but the people that watch us on TV. So that's just a part of what I am, and so not chastising anyone, I'm just stating for the record. So anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, just one comment so that make it clear to the audience out here that Councilwoman McPherson is not physically present, but she is present for the purpose of this meeting. Being out of state, she is called in and is participating in the meeting through the live feed and on the telephone here. So she, under Georgia law, she's allowed to participate in that manner, and she's present here, going to vote on some items that come up. So just, if you hear any noise out there, it may be because we're talking to Leslie on the telephone here.
Thank you, David. City Manager's report, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, a couple of quick updates. Last month we were talking about level 3 drought conditions, and certainly I know everybody sees rain and some maybe sleet, snow. But the drought still is not over. However, I will say that our reservoirs are within 2.5 inches of full pool, which at this point makes the push for level 3 moot. We did engage with the state in attempting to get level 3. Basically, their initial pushback was that this all seems to be economics, and if you're doing it just for economics, that doesn't make sense. Despite all the photos of the fact that our reservoirs were dry, they're like, well, you still have source of water. You can buy from Carroll County, you can buy from Douglas, WSA. So it took a significant amount of time before it got pushed up the ladder. But at this point, given the fact that with some additional rain expected, we're hoping to be at full pull. We're not at full production, but we are sort of migrating back. However, that said, we've had some complaints of recent of yellowish, greenish water in the Mirror Lake area that apparently has occurred over the last 2 weeks. Staff has gone out and investigated each of those. At this point, I think we're chasing a ghost. I think we're chasing something that may have happened within the system within the past 2 weeks. I know staff did uncover a hydrant where one of our valves was completely moved. So it's questionable whether or not the system was used or jolted in some basis. We certainly believe that this may be the result of a velocity issue from either a heavy use of water unexpected or an actual jolt to the system. The reason we suspect that is we've gone out and we've done testing at all of the sites, done our back tees, et cetera, and they're all coming up. The water is extremely safe. But the yellowish greenish tint did cause us some pause as to what was causing that. It's not coming from our water production or our plant itself. In the Mirror Lake area, of course, one of the big SPLOST initiatives on the Douglas County side is because they don't have interconnected circulating water systems. So that's going to be one of the priorities that's in the budget if the council adopts and moves forward with it, is to start doing that. So as a proactive measure, we're meeting with the Cheryl Brown over at the Mirror Lake HOA later this week. Basically, we're going to create a partnership so that we're communicating clear, succinct information through the HOA and to the residents through a sort of an official body of information. We're going to be doing some systematic directional flushing, and that way they can work with us to get that information out, and we'll share that information with the council as well. But at this point, you know, the water's safe. It's consistently been safe. We actually took the water plant offline for some cleaning right before the weather storm because we knew we were going to have limited staff. So even with some of these concerns, you know, it's 100% Carroll County water. We'll be actually coming back online, I believe, tomorrow. So we know that the source is not from our water plant. So, but there's nothing of concern at this point. But coloration, you know, tends to be turbidity or otherwise. So I did want to mention that to the council and the public as well.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Okay. We are at the point in the meeting where we ask for public comment. So if anyone in the audience has public comment, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please limit your time to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Prissy Sullivan at 207 North Avenue, and I wanted to comment because I noticed that we are revisiting allowing a resident on North Avenue to keep goats. Having had goats in the past, this is an excellent idea. In the first place, they don't bother anybody. They are nowhere near as annoying as a dog who barks at all hours, mine included. They do get rid of the kudzu. It is the only thing that my husband and I have ever found that got rid of the kudzu and kept it off. Not only do they eat the kudzu, they tear the roots up with their hooves. They don't normally wander off if they're in a fenced area or even on a leash. We had ours on a leash. They're friendly to other animals, and they do not cause any problem, and they do not smell. Nowhere near like a cat. So I would urge the council to allow Ms. Poore to keep goats in an effort to use an eco-friendly way of controlling the kudzu. Thank you for your time. Oh, you want me to sign in?
I don't think that mic is on, is it?
Huh?
Thank goodness.
We could hear you good, but I don't think that mic
You don't want me to re-say it again, do you?
Nope.
was.
Jody Mount, 214 Rockmart Road. Couple of comments. One, I want to just remind everyone of the meeting on Thursday at 7 o'clock at the venue on our passive park. And please come in and give your input on that. It can be a real gem for the city, or it can be a, I won't say Spring Lake. I don't think we'll have another Spring Lake ever, thank God. But we need public input. It's better to come now than complain later. So please come to that. I also want to encourage the council to approve our hotel motel tax. It's ridiculous that we would be the only one in the area not having it. Carrollton has put in for it, so they're up on the legislative calendar to get that approved. Douglasville already has it. We don't need to be the cheapest place in town. It is a user tax. It has the potential to lower property tax. To my understanding, most hotels and motels appreciate it because the money from that goes to entice more tourists to them, thus more clients for them, more customers for them. It's a win-win situation. So I would just ask any of you who are opposed to this to be able to give concrete reasons for the opposal, why it is not in the best interest of Villa Rica to have more money to develop our tourism in our city and improve our city. And we'll get a chance to public comment on the goat situation, won't we? Okay, I'll leave that there. Thank you.
In that case, I'll wait until such time.
John Mount, 214 Rockmart Road. I know the budget hasn't passed yet, and it's still coming out, but I really would like the council to consider the enterprise funds to be self-supporting. Our water and our sewer and all that should be paid for by the people that use it. It's kind of like my neighbor not mowing their yard, and then I have to pay to mow the yard. It's kind of, you know, if you use water, then you need to pay for the water, whether you're a business or whether you're a resident. It shouldn't come out of this general fund from the taxes. So as you consider the budget, I'd please ask you to consider making these enterprise funds whole. And thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you all for your comments. Moving on to tab A, Parks and Recreation. Ms. Vicki Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item is a recommendation. Not a problem. This item is a recommendation for a vendor for the purchase of soccer uniforms. Staff is making a recommendation of Crown Sports. I believe you've been provided a packet of information that provides an overview and breakdown of the pricing that was submitted by the respondents. I will say that the information for Crown Sports does include more material, if you will, than what was bid out as part of the specifications. That includes an additional bag that's $2. For the sake of comparing the apples to apples, it would be $2 off that $25. What I would recommend is, I know the information includes the $25, but at least doing a contingent of the removal of the $2 so that the recommendation is based on the $23 bid.
Make a motion to do Crown Sports for soccer.
Second.
Discussion. Michael. Discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call a question. All in favor? All opposed? Unanimous. Item 3.
The second item is a recommendation for the athletic uniforms. Within your documentation, you've been provided a summary of all of the respondents for the bid. Staff is recommending Gable Sporting Goods.
Make a motion to accept Gable Sporting Goods bid.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Not, all in favor? Unanimous. Tab B, Community Development. Mr. Milline.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a request for an alcoholic beverage license, specifically a retail package, malt and beverage and wine. This is, the applicant is Mirror Lake Mart LLC, the licensee being, and I'm going to apologize, I believe it's Nordin Bomini of Tucker, Georgia. The location is 9600 Connors Road. As specified at the work session, this is a location that is in transition of ownership. This is the Swifty Save that is converting over. Swifty Save is currently licensed. The applicant was requested to be here, and this constitutes a public hearing after council discussion. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Is the applicant present? Okay. Mr. City Attorney, we need to have public comment on that. I don't have my little statement I need to read, which,
Yes, this is a public hearing, so we do need to take public comment, even though the applicant does not appear to be here. And without the applicant being here, you can take action on it anyway, or you can table it till he or she comes. But it would still be appropriate to take any comments that anybody might have, since it was advertised for a public hearing.
Mr. Miller, was the applicant told of the meeting tonight?
I specifically had requested staff in permitting to actually make contact with all three applicants and request them to be here. I'm assuming that's why some of the other applicants are here. So all I know is I did give that directive to staff.
Okay, thank you, sir. This time we'll open it up for public comments. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak for or against this application, please do so. Seeing none, action reverts back to the council for a decision.
I move to approve the license.
Second.
Have a move and a second to approve the license. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.
Mr. Mayor, this is also an alcoholic beverage license for retail packaged malt and beverage wines. This is the South Carroll Food Mart. This is a change in the licensee holder. Again, I apologize. I'm going to try to pronounce the licensee, which is Fana Kumar C. Patel of Stockholm, New Jersey. This is for a location at 205 South Carroll Road, otherwise known as the South Carroll Food Mart, and it does also require a public hearing. Otherwise, all documents are in accordance with city ordinance. Sir, back to you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone, do we have the applicant present? Please come forward. David, do you want to read the little?
Well, you're Mr. Patel?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Patel, thank you for being here this afternoon, or this evening. You've applied for an alcoholic beverage license for your store located on South Carroll Road.
Yes, sir.
You understand that if approved, that the city of Villa Rica is very serious about protecting underage people from coming in to frequent your store to buy alcoholic beverages. You understand that? And you understand that you cannot sell to anyone under 21 years of age?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that Chief Mansour back there is going to be himself or someone, his designee, coming in underage trying to buy alcohol from you. So you need to make sure all of your people are well versed in checking IDs.
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? If not, we'll open this up for public comment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone wishing to come forward and speak for or against this application, please do so. Seeing none, this will revert back to the council for a decision. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3.
Mr. Mayor, this is actually a holdover from an original request submitted as a conditional use permit in June of 2016. The council authorized and had this tabled until the council was fully seated, and gave a timetable where the applicant did not have to resubmit any fees. Specifically, the original application was for keeping livestock in a residential zoned area. Specifically at 326 North Avenue. Ms. Kim Porter is the applicant. From the original documents, it was a request to have 2 dwarf pygmy goats with 6 to 12 chickens, but the actual application itself would be for a conditional use permit for keeping livestock in a residential. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. The applicant is present.
Yes, I wanted to just make myself available if anyone has any questions or comments. I know there's an extensive packet of information. The only thing that I would like to point out is the original people that do not want the goats and chickens. There were 2 ladies. They both wrote a letter, and I think possibly even a rebuttal letter. Today, I brought to City Hall 3 letters signed by 4 different people that are in favor of the goats. And other than that, if you have any questions regarding why I want goats or anything of that nature, please feel free to.
Do we have any questions from council of the applicant?
Now, we discussed this the other night, and I think you said you would just go with the 5 goats. We talked about not having the chickens.
In all honesty, Danny, the goats are my main thing. The chickens
Okay.
were kind of an afterthought, in case of. I'm not really looking forward to being a chicken farmer, nor am I looking forward to be a permanent goat farmer. I just want the goats long enough to actually kill the kudzu, which from my research is usually 8 to 10 years. And at that time, I'll be happy to get rid of them. I'll have a goat barbecue or something. Sorry.
Kim, I have a question. I talked to Kim after the meeting. She provided a wealth of information on pygmy goats. I know more than I ever thought I would know about pygmy goats now, but and I appreciate that. But I noticed in your drawing that you had a little fenced-in area, and you indicated, is that up on the screen?
No, it's roughly in the exact middle of my property where I plan to put a pen, a night pen, so that the animals can be kind of locked, there we go,
That was it.
locked away at night so that they are actually protected from the predators that would bother them because they're very small goats.
So at night, the goats, just for those that may not have been able to hear that, the goats will be in that little enclosed fenced area in the middle, which is roughly 250 feet from your property line.
Each direction, yes. And you can see the main one up here at the top. That's a very large tree that's out in my backyard, and it's pretty much in the middle of the property.
And also, I heard you say, and want it to be part of the record, that your main reason for doing this is not raising goats, is to get rid of the kudzu problem.
That's correct.
So, if there was another problem that occurred during the year, of course, you understand that council would look at that and could take action based on that.
Sure,
So,
I have no problems with coming back to visit this in a year. Maybe at that time it could be made a permanent thing, but I personally am looking for a chemical-free life, and I just don't want to put gallons and hundreds of gallons of Roundup on the property, which then runs off into Mirror Lake. That's one of our water sources, so I'm trying for clean living.
thank you, ma'am. Any other questions of the applicant?
I guess my question is, no, not the applicant.
It's a public hearing, too.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll open up the floor for public comment. Anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against this proposal, please do so.
I've spoken on it before, but I just applaud her for wanting to do this. To me, it's a no-brainer. There are actual cities scattered throughout Georgia where the city is using goats to control not just kudzu, but other vegetation around their detention ponds. I just a couple of weeks ago read where one city had lost 4 goats to dogs, and the owner of the dogs was fined, and 2 of his dogs had to be put down. So, this isn't just, Kim's not out here in la land. Other governments are doing this. It makes tremendous amount of sense, and I urge you guys to vote for it. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Rusty Dean, I live at 402 North Avenue. I want to go and go to record, so I write slow. I actually live close. I live 2 houses down. My property almost touches on the back corner there somewhere. I don't think we exactly touch, but it's close. The kudzu on that part of the property is my property, is a problem. It's always coming. I'm always beating it with sticks, knives, and guns, and pesticides, and herbicides, and other things. And it always wins. And so if she's allowed to do this, I think that it would help, personally help my problem, and help the neighborhood in general, because there's a good bit of kudzu growing back there. Goats, as I've been around farms and farmers, and goats are in a neighborhood like that. Goats are far better than all of the neighborhood dogs that run through. They feel it necessary to mark all corners of my property as their property. They use it as their bathroom because they don't want to use their own yard as their bathroom. All of the things that dogs bring, and and the 2 o'clock barking at the possum that went through all of those things don't come with goats, and they do have the benefit of cleaning up the kudzu infestation back there. And I would hope that y'all could support her efforts to be a small-time goat farmer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? I have 3 letters of support here. I'll just, rather than read them, I'll tell you the names, and I have addresses on 2 of them. Letters of support from Sandra Hubbard, from Stanley Halsey and Rhonda Halsey, who live, and the Halseys live at 200 Chief Street here in Villarica. And also a letter of support from Marion Lynn Lewis, who is a realtor. So, if there being no further public comment, action reverts back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for a period of 1 year for 5 goats, and that at the end of that period, that if she wishes to reapply, we waive the fees at that time associated with reapplying for conditional use.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
The question was, can you waive it in advance?
The question was what?
The question is whether or not you could waive the payment of fees in advance.
Okay.
I would be more comfortable if you waited until that came up next year, rather than waiving it this far in advance, in a full year.
I'll amend my motion to not include waiving the fees.
We have an amended motion. An amended motion?
So, yeah.
An amended motion
to approve conditional use period for 5 goats for 1 year.
1 year. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
If not, all in favor?
Let's see.
I'd like to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to vote yes on that.
Okay, so if you'd record
Yes.
Councilman McPherson's as an affirmative vote for that motion.
So it is a unanimous vote.
It's a 5-0.
Okay. Moving right along to item C, economic development, Main Street, economic development / Main Street / tourism, Christopher Pike.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I think the PowerPoint's working today. Be very brief because you all have been versed in this, you could probably give this presentation yourself.
Would a motion to adjourn be in effect right now? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No problem, I'm just trying to find the file.
Oh,
I thought he was
dang.
joking. I thought he was joking. You do have a PowerPoint?
We've been through this.
Just tell the council what you would like, please.
Yes, we are, again, this is the request for the hotel motel tax. The recommendation from staff is to pass a resolution sent to the General Assembly for 8%. As just briefly what we had mentioned before, we would like to use that increase for the purposes of marketing, promoting the city of Villa Rica more effectively. Some of the things that we anticipate doing is being able to recruit better and higher quality entertainment for the Mill Amphitheater. We are in the process now and have a meeting next week to talk about sports marketing and promotion, so that will help recruit sports teams and conferences here to the city of Villa Rica to use our facilities and our assets. We also have on the list some infrastructure, physical assets as well that will help recruit more people to Villa Rica, such as signage for downtown, gateway signs, things of that nature. All that will be funded in part by the increase to 8%. As has been stated before, all of the other municipalities and counties around us already either have passed a resolution to move to 8% or already collecting 8% on the hotel motel tax. So that puts us in line with them and continues to keep us competitive with the things that they are doing in the neighboring governments. So having said that, I'll answer the questions.
You don't have this to put up for the public?
I do. It's
Where the pennies go?
Do we need to change?
Was this from the work session?
Yes.
It's on the web. It's been on the web all week.
So we're going from 5% to 8%.
That's correct.
Well, as about before.
3 pennies go to the general fund.
Is that in line? Am I in?
It's the same
I
presentation
say as
from
of
last week.
last month, I moved that we moved from 5% to 8%.
Okay, I have a motion to change the hotel motel tax from 5% to 8%. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Best asked me a question, which is probably well-founded. Before you actually vote on it, let's add one or two words to it. If you will look on the ordinance that you have, on the last page, number 3, little 2I, it says 1.5% shall be allocated towards tourism product development purposes, including renovations to a welcome center, the mill, the V-Plex, the Pine Mountain Gold Museum, and other city attractions, corridor and gateway improvements, and signage, and any and all other physical improvements associated with a community branding campaign. Just to fulfill all the points that Chris has mentioned here, we might add in that list of tourism product development purposes, the words sporting event venues.
Are you amenable with that?
Is that the point you were making?
Yes, sir. I think that's what you said, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sporting event.
Are you fine with that?
Which line item are you talking about, David?
Little 2I where it says 1.5% shall be allocated, you would
Yeah.
just add in to that listing there, let's see, just to make it simple here so we're all on the same page here.
Sporting events.
Yeah, how about and other city attractions, add in and sporting events? Just to be perfectly clear.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yep. Motion is per what David said, right? Okay.
That's the motion that was made and
Clarified? Okay.
I believe was properly seconded. I can't remember who seconded it. Okay. Further discussion? If not, all in favor?
I'm a no on that one.
All right. So
4-1.
Councilwoman McPherson votes no to that change.
Let the record reflect 4-1. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Thank you, Mr. Pike.
Okay, item 2, Main Street. And this is a renewal of the annual agreement with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs.
Yes, this is just an annual renewal, pretty standard operating procedure for us. It basically is allowing us to participate with other accredited Main Street programs with utilizing the resources that Department of Community Affairs and the National Main Street Program has made available to us. It basically is just a MOU saying that we agree to adhere to specific standards as far as their accreditation protocol, and that we will submit reports on a timely manner, that we will participate in specific trainings, and it just allows a wealth of resources for us as a Main Street organization.
I just want to make a comment, and I made this comment in the work session, but you did an excellent job of answering the question that I had, and that question was, what does Villa Rica get from being a Main Street program? And so just know that that's on my radar, and so I'll be asking that question throughout the year. And I would also like us to get with the Main Street program. If that's something that we're going to be a part of, I want us to display that. I noticed they had a really nice marker, whatever. So, you know, if we're going to be proud of that, and it's something good for the citizens of Villa Rica and good for this community, then let's display that. So, any discussion from council? Let the train go by and.
It's moving kind of slow tonight.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
I move to approve the MOU for the Main Street.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor? Opposed? I didn't see how. Did y'all vote? Okay. Okay, moving right along. Thank you, sir. Tab D, governing body. Council, you should have had a chance to look at the minutes from the November 10th, December 6th, and December 15th meetings. If you have, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So move.
Second.
Moving a second. Any discussion? If not, call a question. All in favor? Unanimous. Item 2, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate for Mayor Pro Tem 2017, Leslie McPherson.
Second.
I have a move and a second. All in favor?
Well, there can be other
I'm a
nominations.
yes.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate to ask if there are any other nominations.
Are there any other nominations? If not, all in favor of Leslie McPherson as Mayor Pro Tem? 1, 2.
And are you a yes, Councilwoman McPherson?
That is 3 votes, and the Mayor Pro Tem for 2017 will be Councilman Leslie McPherson. Okay, item 3, Hart House. David?
Yeah.
David?
Mr. Mayor, we discussed at the work session the status of the Hart House, and I'll give you an update on it from there. I still don't think that you're ready to vote on it tonight. I have shared the proposed memorandum of understanding with the trustees of the First Baptist Church, and the response that I got back from them was that they were satisfied with it and that they would sign it as is. The one thing that we still don't have is a good map or drawing of 2 things. One, of where the existing lift station is, and the second is where the proposed sewer line might be placed on the First Baptist Church property sometime in the future. If you will recall, the city has determined that it's not going to build a sewer line right now, but part of the consideration that we are receiving from the church in exchange for taking over the lift station that does exist is getting the commitment of a sewer line easement at such time that the city does choose to build a sewer line through their property to service the western side of the city. That is a valuable benefit to the city to go ahead and have that easement established. We have to understand that we probably cannot pinpoint where the sewer easement will be, because if it's built 5 years from now, things might change. If it's built 10 years from now, things might change. But we can establish some general parameters. The church had a drawing made of where they proposed that the sewer line would be. The city has had a drawing made of several different options. I've talked to both of the engineers, and the first step we're going to take is that John Bass, who is the city's engineer, if you remember, he had 4 proposed lines. He has said that he thinks one of those, which was option A, is the best route for the city. So he's going to take off all the other options, and then he is to get together with Howard Ray, who did the drawing for the First Baptist Church, and the 2 engineers together are going to agree on whether or not that is indeed the best route, or whether or not they need to come up with some agreed upon option that we can all be happy with. So that's the status of it. That hadn't been done yet. I mean, if you want me to, I brought the drawings that we do have, if you want to look at them and put them up on the screen, but it's really just too early to agree on that. And without agreeing on the drawings, there's no point in voting on the agreement yet. But I want to be as clear as I can be. I think we're moving down the right track. The church seems to be satisfied with the direction we're going in. The city is getting good value for what we're doing. Not only are we getting the Hart House and the Hart House property, but we're getting, more importantly, the commitment of the sewer line, which will be very valuable to the city somewhere down the road.
Thank you, David. And you picked up on something I said from the very start. I said, before I can agree to this, I want to make sure the city's getting value for what we've put into this, and I think we have done that to my satisfaction, and to the council's, I hope, too. But part of the agreement, I know we're not going to vote on it tonight, but just for the public, a part of this memorandum of understanding would be that the parties acknowledge that the city may enter into an agreement with the Villa Rica Historical Society to operate and manage the Hart House and the house site for the purpose of long-term preservation of the Hart House for the community. So that is a part of the memorandum of understanding, and I just want to make sure the public knows that, because I know there's a lot of interest in that.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because I get that question a lot too, as to why we're talking about this and not about the other agreement. Well, the reason for that is that until this agreement gets worked out, there's really nothing to negotiate, but it is a full intent, and always has been, of the council to enter into an agreement with the Historical Society towards running the Hart House.
That being said, I'll make a motion to table this to the February meeting.
We have a motion to table. Do I hear a second? A motion and a second. All in favor? We will take it up at the February meeting. Thank you.
Is that February okay with you?
If the engineers have the drawings done, if it's not, I'll ask to put it off
Really,
again.
you can do it in a month. Gee. I know we're slow around here, but.
Yep, this ain't we though.
Tab E, executive session.
Mr. Mayor, this is a staff request for executive session. I've listed the exemptions under the Georgia Open Meetings Act, but just to sum, this is a request to potentially enter into negotiations to purchase property for the city of Villa Rica, as well as potentially obtain a appraisal for same.
Do I hear a motion that we go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moving to second. All in favor?
For the purposes stated.
For the purpose as stated. All in favor? Okay. Do I hear a motion? Well, do we adjourn now, or do we go?
Mr. Mayor, just for the purpose of the public, and I think your city attorney will concur, there will be no public action after this executive session, because under real estate, if you authorize, that would be at a later meeting.
Okay, so noted.
So this is undetermined length, always is.
It was removed from the agenda.
Oh, she's still on the phone. I only heard her make 2 votes. Do I understand that she voted on all the issues before the council, or